In this video I'm unboxing some live plants, but what are they and where are they from? Watch to find out. Alright, these plants are from a pretty well established UK plant supplier called Parker's, J. Parker's. You can buy these from Amazon, but I'm not going to put a link to those because I haven't tested them myself. That's up to you if you want to go straight to Amazon to get your plants. So let's take a look. So I bought 10 plants and they've obviously come in these 2 bags of soil. They are alive, so I'm not entirely sure what that alive looks like at this stage. Here's some instructions. So I ordered 2 packs of these 5 plants, so we'll open them up in a minute and I'll tell you what they are. I got some instructions and you can see what they are there. They're called Monarda mixed, which is bergamot or bee balm. So let me take a look in here. Now I know from when I've made candles before that the smell of bergamot is out of this world good. So I was delighted when I found out you could just buy the plant and have the scent in your garden. And the fact it makes a great cut flower and is great for the wildlife is just out of this world. Plus, plus, plus. Great. It's just a perfect plant for me. Alright, so they do have very small live sprouts on them. They don't look fantastic, but it's really, I mean, they've been in the post. So let's just see how many we've got. There's supposed to be 5 in each bag. What is that? That has one. That has one. 1, 2, 3. That's nothing. That has 1. 4. I'm not sure if they're viable. Poppy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so I've got what looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 viable plants, and I'm not sure what they are. So let's move this over. There's 1. 2. Well, what the hell? That's a bit rubbish. 3. Well, no, that doesn't count as viable. That goes in the... That might be viable. It's got some good roots. That's 1, 2, 3. Possibly viable. 4. And then something questionable. Oh, there, 5. Okay. And some snapped off roots there. Alright. Let's put those back. Check out how to plant them. So this booklet literally just has a couple of sentences. It's basically covers all their stock of plants from the look of it, and you just have to find the plant that you have, and it here has a couple of sentences in there. I thought it might have a bit more information on the other side, like the planting, the situation, the height, all this sort of thing here. But this was a completely separate set of plants, and it wasn't in here. But that's fine because, I mean, we all have Google these days. So it's not exactly the end of the world that I had to just double check a bit more information. So I'm not sure whether I actually got 10 viable plants, but I certainly got 10 root stocks. So we'll see how we get on. I mean, this is the risk you take when you are ordering live plants at this time of year. Bare root without any sort of germination, without any actual growth, it is usually easier. So I've bought a lot of roots, as you saw with my bleeding heart video, and they have already sprouted. And if you don't plant those up quickly, you can quite easily damage the new growth. So I don't know. So we'll do our best with them. So I just got these 4 containers here. I'm not planting them out in the garden because I'm not ready. I've got still a lot of work to do to build the borders and what have you. So I thought, and it's easier to monitor them here. This is my own compost. I'm so delighted with this compost. I mean, I do have some things in there that shouldn't be in there, like bits of cloth and old plastic and, all sorts of things fell in there. But I'm actually really pretty delighted with the quality of this compost. And this is what I'm going to use to start these plants going. And you can see kind of the layers, the age of the compost here. So you've got this older stuff here, which is really just like soil. It's turned into soil in, it must be about 4 years old. It was right at the bottom of the heap. And then you've got this more humus-rich sort of compost here, which was sort of in the mid-range. And then towards the top of my heap, you've still got things trying to break down. So sometimes you see a little bit of sawdust or straw, as you can see, those falls into the heap where I'm trying to dig out, but it's not the end of the world. I'm going to talk about compost later. This actually just came out so well. This is just garden waste, kitchen waste, kitchen waste, paper, tea bags, pumpkins, what else do I put on here? Eggshells, the sawdust from our rabbit died last summer, but we used to put when we cleaned his hutch out, we used to throw that on, and that's how other stuff gets in it, because my children don't care that it's a compost heap. They just see a rubbish dump that they can throw all their things in. So I haven't had the best discipline building this compost. So I had 2 1 meter squared wooden kind of like, they were like raised beds. I think that's what they were supposed to be, but they were about they're about 60-70 centimeters deep and 1 meter squared each, and I had 2. So I filled up one. This was the first one, and then I filled up the other one, and I kind of switched between the 2. So this is what anyway, it's been sort of, I've had it for about 4 years, and as you can see, I mean, it's just brilliant. I'm actually really chuffed, because this would have actually cost me a fortune in compost to buy, and here it is. It's just just waste that I would have otherwise thrown out. Of worms, and in this case centipedes. I have loads of centipedes in it, and I did have to check to make sure they weren't pests or anything like that, and they're not. They do pretty much the same work as worms in your compost heap. So do not treat them as the enemy. They are your garden friend, let's put it that way. All right, so let's get on with these pots. So most of us have got broken, cracked terracotta pots from over the years, frost damage, whatever. I just tend to smash them on the terrace, make sure the dogs aren't around, so they don't get it in their eye. And then I pick up the pieces and, I put them in the bottom of these pots. These plastic pots I bought years ago, so I'm obviously trying to get plastic out of my life, but these I've already had, so I'm going to use them. And I had to drill holes in them before I use them, but I did that years ago. And then you put the plastic pots over the top so that the drainage, so that the water can get out and the mud, the compost rather, doesn't clog the holes. And so that's really what that's all about, so that it's got good free drainage. This soil is so good, actually, because I have already used it and watered the pots. And I was a bit worried because it's so rich that it would sort of turn into, quite thick, cloggy mud. But it's lovely, actually. The water is really nice. It goes through at a really nice, even pace, and just filters out the bottom. So I'm actually just really happy with this compost. I can't believe it. Yeah, I don't always use it because when I've used a lot of it, I make this big hole in the centre of it, and I kind of think, oh, maybe I should leave it to recover. But honestly, I've got another whole compost heap that I haven't touched yet. So when I've excavated everything that I can out of this heap, I'm going to push all the top into the bottom. It's quite difficult to describe, but it's like I excavate underneath the top layers, and you get all this soil underneath, and then I will bash it down, and I will probably throw everything from the other compost heap into it, and then I can start using the underlayers of the other compost heap. I hope that makes sense, but yeah, there you go. So I don't know whether I'm going to do one. I probably am only going to do one plant in each pot, maybe two. What I don't want to do is overcrowd. I don't know how long they're going to have to live in here. I don't want to be damaging roots to untangle them. So we'll just have to see. So what I'll do is I'll fill them sort of almost to the top, and then I'll lay them, arrange them, and see how well I think they fit. The only reason I seem to be taking longer is because I have to fish out some of those alien objects and lumps of soil. I just wanted and twigs. Wanted to make sure I didn't have too many of those in there. Okay, so now I'm just laying them out, seeing how they fit. And I think two in each one looks kind of about right. And they really need to just be below the surface of the soil. So I'm just going to put the roots further down, but I don't want the shoot to be down with the roots. And I'm just going to lightly put another layer of soil around the shoot when I top them all off. So you can see it's kind of like almost horizontal, really. So you're looking to plant it almost horizontally, as though it's a branch with sort of shoots coming up out of it, and then put the roots below. And as I say, I will put a light layer of my lovely compost around, just so that the base of the shoot, where the shoot comes from the root, that isn't exposed. So I couldn't remember how many I did in each pot, but it looks like I did 3 in some, which does make sense because I only had 4 pots and 10 plants. And since these are live plants now and they're actually growing already, I am going to feed them just with this bloodfish and bone. Nothing fancy. I do have other feeds, but I thought this would do just to get it going. I normally actually would mix this into the compost first so that it's more evenly distributed throughout the soil, but I didn't do that. And then I use whatever was in the bags because I don't like anything wasted, so I used the soil that was in the bags just to top off and just really to get rid of the soil, really. And then I will put a bit more of my own soil on top of that. And I tap them up and down a bit and shake them a bit so that they, rather than sort of push them in really hard, they'll just, all the soil will fill up the air pockets and what have you, and you know, it does sink a little bit, but it's nice and even. Then the soil's nice and even. And then I'll move them into place before I water them, because obviously when you water them, they're really heavy. So I'm going to build a border here, right here. This is the fence just there, you can see, and it's got an annoying concrete base, which I did not put in. But first I'm going to water these, and I'm going to let them establish here and see if they've got enough sun, because they do need full sun here. And then if this is the right place, I'm building this border anyway, whether these plants go here or not. But if this ends up being the right place, then obviously they will be put here permanently. And then the last thing to do is label them, because I'm doing so many plants and flowers at the moment, and a lot of them are in tubs like this. So there's no way until they flower, I'm going to remember what they all are. So I'm just going to get into a really good habit of labeling everything so that I know. And hopefully here they can get going and establish nicely, and then maybe they can go in this border. As you can see, there is a really nice little climbing plant here that I did plant, but it just looks messy for some reason. I just need to work at the borders. This whole area is a mess. So, but we'll get on it. I'll get some nice tall plants at the back and some at the front. Anyway, here they are, the bee balm, organic, lovely. Birds and butterflies and bees love it. Hopefully they'll take off, and hopefully they'll find a permanent home soon. I've got 2 more videos lined up, so please subscribe to make sure you don't miss those. One, I'm pre-sprouting the ranunculus and my anemones, and I'm also doing a painting of Renoir's anemones, which I kind of thought tied in quite nicely. So if you want to see those, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.